Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here with a very brief update and books I've read in the last couple of months. The pile of books that I've accumulated since having to quit my job recently. I presented at an emergency room with tachycardia, racing heart, and was put on beta blockers. And shortly thereafter, after having been given some low pressor, which reduces heart rate, I was at the grocery store and couldn't even push a shopping cart. I had to let my wife push it. Well, gladly it's not that bad. The low pressor was more serious than the beta blockers I'm on. But I did have to quit my job working freight, and I have read a lot since then. I probably will get some other workaday job very soon. I don't know. In other news, before I start the books here, let me just say that we do have one student. Those of you who have been watching my videos a long time will know that we had 11 students here at the Deseret Academy at one time. 10 of them were charity cases of some kind. We didn't charge the parents tuition. We received some thank you payments, but nowhere's near even 1 month's tuition for the 7 months that we taught the children. So we've decided if we can't, make money at doing it, then we'll just teach our own daughter. We'll homeschool her. And the one student that we do have, you'll be unsurprised to learn, was the one student whose parents were paying us when we had the school before. So there's some sort of saying that if you give something away, people won't value it, but if you charge them a nickel, they will value it. There may be some truth in that. But aside from that, the one student that we still have, her parents are atheists, and that wasn't true of any of the other parents. Maybe there's something in that too. Now, here are the books that I've read. We'll start with, and I have a fair pile, 10 here, that I've finished cover to cover in the last couple months since I quit my job. First four are medical books because of my medical situation. Turns out it's not life-threatening. $9,000 in tests later, I know that my heart's in very good condition, and as long as my blood pressure is kept in control, I should be fine for a long time, as long as I stay on my beta blockers. A Surgeon's World by William Nolan, MD. You'll see the Strand sticker there. 50 cents for paperbacks. Another paperback, The Making of a Surgeon by William Nolan, MD. The Making of the Surgeon comes first, I guess, because it's his going through school. These are published in the 70s. And then this one is his book about practice. Altogether about 500 pages or so of information about a surgeon's view of the medical education and professional community. Pretty interesting reading, very light reading. Some information in there that I didn't know. Heirs of General Practice by John McPhee. Strand price, $1. A lot of these books, of course, from New York City. This particular book is simply a set of cases, one after another, and some hemming and hawing about general practice and how it's used to be practiced and what it's turning into now. This was published in the 60s, I believe. Pretty interesting, but, published in 1984. It felt more dated than that. Pretty interesting, but I think only interesting if you have sort of medicine on your brain, the medical question on your brain. Doctors East, Doctors West by Hume, and published by Norton. This is about a feller, is written by a guy who went to China. Let's see, I can't find the author, that's unfortunate. Who went to China to open a hospital there. By Edward H. Hume, MD. He went there and wrote this in 1946. He opened the hospital sometime in the 30s. and spent some time there establishing the hospital and the practices, and wrote that book about it. So you get a look into pre-communist China, the 1930s, and you get a look into medicine and Harvard, and Harvard's view of how to spread medical knowledge around the world, and so on. Pretty fascinating book. Now that's it for the medical books. There are 2 or 3 others that I'm in the process of reading, but they can't be presented in a list of books I've just read. Here is a very, very light reading. The next 4 books are about the North, north to Alaska, that sort of thing. Cheating Death, Amazing Survival Stories from Alaska by Larry Kenniute. It's only worth reading if you need to read about Alaska and that sort of thing. This is a little bit more interesting. Anne Morrow Lindbergh, North to the Orient. Lindbergh, wife of Charles Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh, of course, the first person to fly the Atlantic. They, a year or 2 later after that stunt, they flew north across Canada and the Arctic and Alaska, and then down Siberia to Japan and China. So that was an interesting book written by her, with a few little tidbits about feminism and stuff in there. She was upset that her husband was being asked all the intellectual questions, and then she said to herself, she wrote in the book, but then if they asked me, I probably wouldn't have anything to say to it anyway, so I get what I deserve. They asked me about how am I going to clean house, and how am I going to prepare our meals on the plane and stuff like that. So, interesting book. The next one, In the Shadow of Denali, Life and Death on Alaska's Mount McKinley by Jonathan Waterman. Now, Denali is an Alaskan native word for, I shouldn't say Alaskan native, an Eskimo word, because if you're born in Alaska, you're an Alaskan native, excuse me. Jonathan Waterman, born in Massachusetts, was obsessed with Denali, also known as Mount McKinley. Denali is a name that means great one in some native tongue up there. And he was obsessed with it, worked as a guide for a bit, hiked the mountain 11 times, made it to the top once out of 11 attempts. I will never, ever go mountaineering. I despise the snow, I despise ice, I despise cold. So I don't know why I have to read all these books about Alaska. Anchorage, the All-American City by Evangeline Atwood. Published in like 1954, I believe. 1957. This book was pretty good. A pretty good read if you're obsessed with Alaska and have to read about it from time to time. But it struck me as being the first half of it was well written and was authentic. The second half was sort of a history of Anchorage, just sort of put together to round out the book, so it wasn't just a long essay. So instead of a long essay of 50 pages, it's a short book of 104 pages. And worth reading if you need to know about Anchorage. Now the last 2 are broadly conceived business. The American Automobile by John B. Ray, R-A-E. Published in 62 or 64, let's see, 65, pardon me. Now, this was in a series edited by Daniel J. Borston, and some of you may recognize the name Daniel J. Borston. I certainly did when I was looking inside the front cover here, and I saw, oh, Borston's involved? Well, I'll definitely take it. And it was a great read. A little teeny myopic at the beginning, giving you hundreds of names involved in the automobile industry, because as many of you may know, there used to be dozens and dozens of automobile companies. So just in the United States. So this was an interesting read about that. And it ends in mid-century They are looking forward to a lot of things. At the time this was written, Detroit was, the motor city of the world. It was the greatest place. Very weird. Just 10 or 20 years later, things changed so much from the attitude he shows in this book. But a very good read on the history of industry in the automobile. Last but not least, Buffett, as in Warren, The Making of an American Capitalist. Now, I'd actually started this some months ago, but I read about 3/4 of it or so since having presented at the hospital and quit my job some weeks back. This is an excellent book. I'm sure anything about Buffett's excellent. I'll just say a couple words for those of you who may not know about Warren Buffett. He advises that you purchase good stocks at good prices and keep them forever, or for a very, very, very long time. For example, when the economy went into recession in 1987, stocks that just a few weeks earlier the big brokerage houses were recommending, AAA, good stuff on Coca-Cola to buy at $80 a stock or whatever. Coca-Cola fell to like $27 a stock. And what did Buffett do? He jumped in and bought over $1 billion worth. They put about 1/4 of their total net worth into Coca-Cola stock. While all the brokerage houses were, we don't want to touch that, don't want to touch anything, don't want to buy anything, scared, don't know what to do. And, Buffett is not myopic and idiotic like that. A refreshing view. I don't know that much about the stock market and haven't read very many histories of it or things involved with it. But definitely an interesting book. Buffett's an interesting guy. He embarrasses a lot of college professors who teach that the stock market's very random and anyone who's successful in the stock market's just an aberration. You're as likely to be ruined in the stock market as you are to thrive. And yet Buffett consistently thrives decade after decade. One of the fellows who taught in a major university in California and taught these ideas that, the stock market's just all random and you don't know, ended up, even though he'd published books saying this, he ended up buying heavily into Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's mothership company. So, and didn't publicly repudiate his theories. So, check out Warren Buffett for if you have some spare time. There are the books I've read recently. That's the update on my school. We have one student. It's a small town. We may get more eventually. I don't know. I'm not worried about it because I'm sick of fighting an uphill battle. I've got my daughter to educate. We will educate her at home. She will not attend public school. Certainly not till she's 10 or 12, and then only if she wants to. And so in the meantime, I am going to try to start a restaurant possibly, or be involved with it in some way. So maybe you'll hear from me in that capacity. Signing off for now.